Hi, welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here at MetroEast Community Media in Gresham, Oregon. We have a show here where we talk with nonprofits and community groups about what's going on in your community. And tonight I want to start out the show with a fun segment. We're going to be talking with the Center for the Arts about their Third Thursday Studios program. We'll be talking tonight with Cindy Passanante, who is the chair of this program, and Rob Bakers, who is an animator, who's going to be part of the next show. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Cindy, why don't you start out by letting people know just a little bit about Center for the Arts and specifically the Third Thursdays program.
Okay. Center for the Arts is a foundation that has been around for quite some time, was very instrumental in getting the Center for the Arts Plaza located where it is to present many things that go on in the plaza, such as Music Mondays during the summer. And it's free to everyone join us. We're putting a great program together for this coming summer.
And we'll be taping it.
And we'll be taking it again. Yes, we decided last year that we wanted to bring some more art to and artists to the community of Gresham and the surrounding areas. And that was when we came up with the Third Thursday Studios during the winter. And we've now had, this is our fourth one. We've had 3 so far. In October, we brought out Stephen Allard, who was an author.
Right.
And in January, we brought out a couple of poets, John Williams and Malakhov, thank you, which was absolutely wonderful. And then last month, we had the Columbia Symphony that plays here in East County at Columbia.
With the composer Kenny Regan.
With the composer Kenny Regan, who was 18 years old, just turned 18 in November.
Very impressive.
Very impressive. And now we're so excited to bring Rob here and introduce the art of animation.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's something that will appeal to a lot of people. So Rob, welcome to the Gresham area.
Well, thanks for having me here. It's good to be here.
So when Cindy contacted you, what did you think about this project? This is a little more personal, intimate kind of a setting where you're going to be talking with people. What kinds of things will you be talking about this evening?
Well, it'll be a mix. I'll start off probably with just my professional history and educational history, and just go over some of the processes that go into animation. I've worked in several different types of animation, traditional drawn animation, mostly done computer animation for the last 30 years or so, but I've also, over the last 6 years, I've worked at Leica on a few projects on their puppet movies, the stop motion films. Right. And that's all been computer work that I've done. But it's I've gotten some tremendous insight in how that process works, and it's tremendous to see. It's worth talking about.
Will you be showing some of your work there at the?
I will. Yeah, you'll be able to see some Leica work. I'll be bringing some sculptural items that I've made from films that I worked on. I worked for Disney feature animation for 15 years. Worked on several projects there.
Well, tell me some of the projects that you've worked on that people might have heard of.
The last feature film was called Lilo and Stitch.
Right. And any kids watching are like, yeah!
Lilo and Stitch. Before then, the other previous feature we did was Mulan.
And this is some of your work here on the screen here.
That's right. Yeah, you can see the bit from Leica up at the top left there. And the 2 in the top right and bottom left corner are little sculptures that I've made for characters that we were working on. The very last project that we did at Disney, unfortunately, was canned. It was canceled because they shut our studio.
Oh, really?
So I've started and opened and closed the place. I got there in '89 and shut it down, shut off the lights in '04.
Well, it had a pretty long run.
Yeah. Oh, it was very good. Yeah, good, very, very good. But this was a project that was never completed, but I'll have a lot of work to take a look at.
Okay, good.
Hasn't been seen before.
Wow. So do you keep a lot of these little sculptures around home that you started out working on?
Yeah, I do, a little bit. Yeah, I'll hang on to them. The ones that I really like.
I remember going to a Will Vinton studio on a little personal tour with somebody that used to work there back in the days when they had the dancing raisins, and walking by somebody's desk and they had this modeled clay there that they were working with, and I thought I could just go smash that. It's just sitting out there, and I didn't, of course, but I would not. It's like,
it's fascinating.
It's really fascinating, yeah. So now, you said you've been doing the computerized animation for like 30 years.
Right.
So you were like 2 when you started or something?
No.
I was,
how old was I? 20, 94 when I started, I guess. Yeah. So
Some people age well. Anyway, tell me how it's changed. I mean, when you first started, what was the animation world like, and how's it changed?
Well, it was a change for me. I studied traditional animation under a bunch of old Disney animators, and it was great. I mean, it was a really remarkable bunch of guys, and they had a lot of terrific anecdotal ideas, and they taught me a world of stuff, which I still use today, absolutely, in computer animation. But when I was leaving school, I was a bit fretful about it because I was realizing I was going to have to draw the same thing over and over and over and over again a lot. And fortunately, I didn't fall, actually. I led myself into computer animation and started a shop in Denver. And it was sort of it was actually old computer animation technology at the time, if you can believe it, in 1984.
Wow.
But I've been working in various types of computer animation since then.
Do you have a favorite kind of, I mean, of all through the years, or is there a favorite kind of animation that you really like? Did you prefer that old style, or is everything changed so much that it's really new and exciting all the time?
Well, the thing, it's always changing, and it is a really nice, I think, for anyone coming into animation these days, it's tremendous opportunities. There's so many different things you can get into. When I was starting out, it was some Saturday morning cartoons. It was going to be, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, or I was fortunate enough, exactly, right? I was fortunate enough to get into this sort of weird old computer animation house, but after I left that, I realized, I'm going to stay in computer animation. This is kind of going somewhere. So
and it did, didn't it?
It seemed to work out.
Was probably, were you as a kid, did you have like those little flip books? You draw the picture and then you draw a little different on the next page, what I mean?
Well, it was usually, I must mess up, my textbooks.
The textbooks. Of course, I'm sure your teachers appreciated that.
Yeah,
but there's probably some kids somewhere that have that old textbook and going, hey, this is worth something now. Rob did it.
And you say, just read it. That's
fine.
It's not that good. It's not that good.
So this third Thursdays program that you're going to have, this is going to be at the Historical Society again?
Yes, we meet. We have these events at the Historical Society building museum, which is fascinating, and everybody that comes spends some wonderful time just looking around. It's a perfect setting. It's kind of set up like a little living room, and the guests get to sit and visit with Rob, watch what he has to present. It's on next Thursday on the 20th. Okay. Doors open at 6:30. We have some light refreshments and wine to kind of help everybody get acquainted. Some time for visiting with Rob on a one-on-one basis. One of my frustrations in my life has been that I've always been fascinated by artists, because I'm not one, of all styles, and I always want to meet them and find out how their brain works, because it's so different than mine. So I keep trying to ask them questions like, what would inspire you to draw something? And somebody says, I need to have something that looks like this, but in a cartoon way or in a different way, and I would go, right. What would you do?
Well, it was interesting. I looked at one of your demo reels on the internet, and there was I think it was a dog who looked like he was made out of a clothespin or something like that. And I thought, I love that. It was so great. It just made me laugh out loud. And I thought, so how do you do that?
I mean, I would have never put that together.
Are you do you work for a specific company? Are you freelance? Do you how does all that work? And I mean, does somebody tell you what you need to do?
When you're working in animation, typically, it's a job. So you end up having a client, or someone will give you an assignment of sorts. Right now, I'm working down in Oregon City. It's an animation studio, Super Genius.
Super Genius, okay.
And we do a lot of animation work, and not just animation. We do design of characters, design of interface, painting, digital painting, all sorts of things. But I direct animation down there for various video games.
Oh, for video games, okay.
Right.
And that's probably a very...
I've never done, and I must fess up, I was the bad dad raising my kids.
You didn't let them
I was
play
Mr.
games?
No Fun, and so, but
that doesn't
now,
make you a bad dad.
well, it makes me a no fun dad. But now they play all the time, probably more than, they're probably catching up. Now I'm swinging axes into zombies' heads and stuff.
Lovely,
it's all good stuff.
Lovely. Yeah, that's probably, I don't know if that's a very lucrative market, but boy, the gaming is sure a big deal. I mean,
it's it's lucrative because there's just so much of it, and it's a tremendous company down there that I'm working for. It's really nice in that they've taken me in. I mean, yes, I'll fess up, I have a terrific resume of animation. I've
You
worked
do,
at a lot
yeah.
of high profile places.
Easy for you to say.
But yeah, I'd never worked in games before.
But see, now you can add
they
that to
took
your
me in.
resume.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's a big part of it. Looking around and finding new things to work on.
Yeah.
Varietal things to work on. It's a big deal.
So if you're an animator and you decide that's what you want to be. When I grow up, I want to be an animator. So you can do gaming, you can work on movies, I imagine commercials and
TV
that kind
commercials.
of thing.
That's what I started out in Denver.
Oh, yeah?
Right.
And so there's probably a big call for that, I would think. What other things
sure.
can people do as an animator?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that gets done on the web these days. There's a lot of
Yeah.
web animation. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, when we think of games, usually you think of console games or something like that, or something you play on your PC. But there's loads and loads of little games that go on little cell phones and stuff.
Handheld, or your
handheld ones.
smartphones.
Smartphones, right?
Yeah.
I still
yeah.
call them cell phones. I guess.
That's
Mine's ancient. So.
well, my cell phone wouldn't have done anything my smartphone will. So yeah,
Yeah, right.
things have changed a lot. So what does kind of inspire you? I mean, are there certain things that you just love to work on? Certain projects? Tell me what was one of your favorite projects you worked on?
Let's see. Well, I reckon the favorite one that I worked on was Mulan. It was the first one that we did that was really our project down in Florida.
Yeah.
We started up a studio down in Florida for Disney. And it was, we were actually sort of on the tour. I don't know if you've ever been down to Walt Disney World, but
yeah.
they have this animation tour that you walk
Right,
through.
yes.
And so we were actually under glass for the first.
I'm going there.
The
Oh,
first.
you
I don't think there's animators down there anymore, but there may be staged
There
animators.
might be a,
there may be people sitting there
Universal
pretending to
maybe
draw,
there's lots
whatever.
in
Yeah.
there,
Yeah, because
But it
about
would-
10 years ago we were there.
Oh yeah.
And I probably saw you working in the
Well-
glass, but it was pretty cool. I mean, it was.
Well, actually the effects department got moved into that area. They built us finally a 4-story building, proper offices and places
Proper
to work
offices
and
and
stuff. It was
everything,
really
huh?
nice. Yep. And so, yeah, I mean that was a good situation for us because we worked when we were down in Florida. We did pieces from other feature films, like from Beauty and the Beast on up until Mulan. But in this is one that we really did our own. It was our own baby down there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like such fun.
So what are they doing? Like I said, I'm going in a couple of weeks down there, and so they're not doing the animation anymore.
I'm not sure.
I
I don't-
will
You're gonna have to
maybe
find
just-
out. Let
I
us know.
will.
There's still an animation tour down there, or there, there's a feature, an attraction there. But I don't know if animators are still sitting in there. Perhaps.
I'll
'Cause
let you know.
we used to do animation for the parks and such as well.
Okay,
In
so
between projects,
Like the
we
theme
would do
parks and
TV
that, yeah.
commercials or an installation in the park. There may be like a ride that required some animation, so
Really?
we'd do a ton of work for that. And it was nice.
Interesting. That's the
Kept
kind
us
of thing
busy
you don't
and-
really think about. I imagine
Right.
there's animation for a ride. I mean, I would not have thought about that. So
Well, if you're sitting in the car and screens,
yeah,
of things
yeah,
going
'cause-
by,
and they aren't
somebody's gotta move it
all
around.
rides that move anymore. Sometimes you're just kind of moving it back and forth in one place, and everything's going around you.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
and the ghosts at the haunted house. Did you work
Right.
on those?
No, actually, but a guy that I went to school with, I went to California Institute of the Arts, where my dear friend Eileen Massover is from. She's actually who I got a connection to this, right? She and I were actually both there around the same time, and I found out that we actually worked in the same office after 1 year after the other. But when I went to, sorry, what was the question again? I slipped my mind. Something
Oh,
about
the
ghosts.
ghosts.
Oh, yeah, the ghosts,
haunted
yes.
house.
The ghosts at
sorry.
the haunted
There was
house. I was
I'll try
fascinated.
not to do this during the talk. All right, folks, it'll be fine. Yeah, one of an animator that I worked with ended up taking a job animating the animatronic characters down there, like Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
fun.
And he has some terrific stories on when those things go wrong. In front of the audience.
Oh, I can
They go
imagine.
wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when Mr. Lincoln doesn't stand up properly or something. Yeah,
Stuck.
Yeah.
doesn't look good.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. So what do you? So now you're at this Super Genius
That's right.
place. Do you freelance out for other projects, or will you stay there for a while, or what do you have for going on for your future?
Well, I'm on
do you know?
I'm on staff there,
Okay.
and I work as animation director. Currently, I'm directing animation on 2 different projects for a company called Telltale Games, and they do. It's nice for me because they do things that are very cinematic and very much. They call themselves Telltale Games because they're a part of the game is choices that you make change the story that you go through, and a lot of it is choices that you make through it rather than, as I said, swinging axes at zombies or whatever.
So there's a little more to it. There's a little more complex.
It's nice for that, yeah. And it is, you do get to do some nice, genuine acting animation in it. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like fun. Cindy, the Third Thursdays program, this is the second to the last in this series, is that correct?
Our next one is in April.
Okay, and that's Stumptown Stages, is that
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
It's Kurt Mauser's coming back to town, and he was here for several years, grew up in this area. So it's going to be exciting to have him come and talk about the world of acting, from production to musical specials to another form of art, and talk about Stumptown Stages, which he's currently production manager and director for. And he'll be sharing that information, so we're all very excited about that. And then our season will end for this year, our very first season. We're in hard work with our committee, Eileen being on my committee, who brought Rob to us.
Thank you to Eileen for that.
Yes, and we thank you very much. And we have Becky Howey, and she is from Sandy. She'll be bringing in some art, visual art will be one of the features. Connie Otto is bringing in Jean Kilpatrick will be opening in September, our Third Thursday Studios. And then Marty Stevens is also looking into bringing a storyteller. So we have some exciting different medias and different interests coming to our Third Thursday Studios. And I hope everyone will continue to support it and come out and visit our wonderful artists in a setting that is intimate and lovely and comfortable, and let you ask all the questions you have in mind.
Ooh, watch out.
I can do that. I can answer questions.
Yeah, good. We have a little snippet, I think, of some of the shows that you did this year, so maybe we could take a look at that and see, so people have an idea what they can look forward to.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
Let's take a look.
Everyone was crowded around the sheriff and Volpe, but they parted to let the Alquist boys through. Todd was dripping wet and grinning, and Jimmy had the look of someone who has just found a way to cheat St. Peter at cards and get away with it. Them, Volpe said, I want you to arrest them. Todd and Jimmy went wide-eyed and shrug-shouldered, the very picture of, who, us? We ain't done nothing wrong. Volpe's fists were balled up, and he took a step toward them, but the whole crowd took a step forward, ready to stop him. He worked as hard as any man in the woods, and for that he was due some respect. But the bottom line was, his daddy was the richest merchant in town, and Volpe logging was Volpe slumming. And that book full of Forest Service regs was all the proof they needed that Volpe was never really one of them.
I'm going to read another poem that plays with things that we are familiar with, but turns them upside down a little bit to see where we can get with it, what kind of thoughts would generate from this kind of tweaking things. So I'll let you see what you think about it. It's called Safety Instructions. Before you cross the street, look to the left to see if your life is worth living, and then to the right to check if your future exists.
You can sort of lag on that last set a little bit, but let's try it for now just the way you've rehearsed it so far. So from the coda. 1, 2. Right. Now, Boyd, I know that in the previous section, I believe I marked it as staccato, those last things, bum, bum. Here, I think you can probably hold them out a little bit longer. Not quite tenuto, but just with a little bit more emphasis. Da, 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 bum.
So great. I love that.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great fun. That was fresh new music that the musicians had never seen.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
something- and he
amazing.
wrote that. I mean, he's a composer. And,
Yeah. And then he was working with them to bring it to the sound he wanted it to be.
That's pretty cool.
It's nice to see somebody sight read like that so well.
Oh,
I mean, it's
please,
really
it was
remarkable to
impressive.
see. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So that's what you're following up, so just so you know.
You will be wonderful.
Go ahead.
So Rob, we're just about out of time, but I have one more question. Yeah, you started out drawing, and now you do the computer animation. Do you still draw? Do you still do that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Do you do it in your job, or you just do it for fun?
I do it for fun, for laughs, riding on the bus.
Yeah,
But I also
doodling,
I
but
need
yeah.
to at work
Yeah.
quite frequently. It's just easier for me to work things out graphically with a pencil, and it's usually more effective.
So would you encourage people that might be interested to keep drawing?
Absolutely,
I mean, that would be.
yeah.
I would think that would be kind of the start.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just good soul food anyway. It's a
There
good
you
thing
go.
to do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Any last words that you want to share with us before we go? Besides, come and listen.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, just come and listen. I think that we'll have plenty of nice visuals and hopefully some marginally entertaining anecdotes about my
Repartee.
life. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really look forward to following that up. And
Good. It sounds like fun.
Do
Sounds
it.
like fun.
It'll be great fun for all of our budding artists to find out how to make a career in that field
Well,
of
and
animation.
who hasn't watched Saturday morning cartoons
That's
or
right.
watched, or played games, or I mean, animation is something that everybody has seen. It's like,
Sees and does,
Yeah.
but to
Right.
see the people behind it is just incredible.
I
So
look
we're
forward
excited to
bringing
bring
it.
this
Look
here.
forward to it, yeah.
Thanks so much for being here, Rob. Thank you, Cindy, as
welcome.
always. Appreciate it. And if folks are interested in going to the Third Thursdays and listening to Rob and seeing his work, then be sure to check it out. We'll have the information on the screen. Thanks for watching Community Hotline. We'll be back here again next week to tell you about fun things going on in your community. Thanks again.